Greetings, upstanders. Dr. O here. So, Trump has lost again as it relates to his tariff war with Canada and Mexico. Just admitting, well, yesterday it was about not taking the tariffs for the automobile industry, taking that off temporarily, a pause, right? And now it's coming off the Mexico tariffs, putting a pause until April 2nd. This is these are the policies of somebody who doesn't know what he's doing. These are the policies of somebody who just goes by emotion. Sure, he could say that tariffs is the most beautiful language and word in the English language, but it doesn't mean that it makes for a beautiful policy. This is destroying the lives of Americans, and it's destroying the lives of people in Canada and Mexico. We know that he doesn't care about that, and many Americans don't. But is this how y'all want this country to be led? We're not even 2 months in, and we're basically going towards a recession with these actions. And the fact of the matter is that Trump is kind of like the guy who wants to show his girlfriend that he can fight, so he pays somebody to come try to rob them so he can be the one to beat up the person he paid to rob them and look like he's cool. Like, Trump likes to put these tariffs on, and so that everybody can come begging to him for exemptions, and so that he can exempt the people who have the ability to reach out to him, whoever has his phone number or Elon Musk's phone number, or whoever has a certain threshold of money. So that's why he gave the automobile industry what they want. Now, some of the farmers are complaining, and some people from the agricultural industry are coming at him. So they're talking about maybe giving some exemptions for them as well, right? This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And now everything is off as it relates to Mexico because Trump knew this was going to be devastating. He doesn't care about President Scheinbaum. He doesn't care about Mexicans. He knew it was going to be devastating for him. All he cares about the stock market. Look at the stock market. And rather than look at the stock of American people and what's happening to them, he puts his power in the stock market in terms of decisions that he's going to make. And he wants people to come to him to beg him to be their savior, which is what the automobile industry did. And people think that just doing this is going to help Americans. How does what's happening with Jack Daniels help? Because with the Jack Daniels company, for example, the CEO said that Canada is not just talking about tariffs, they're pulling their American, Jack Daniels brand off the shelves. So people can't even have an opportunity to buy them, even if they paid whatever additional fee was on that. And that's happening with tons of American products across Canada as well. Is that going to be on pause? Or, what did Canada do with all of that alcohol? Did they give it away? I mean, some people could really use a drink right now. Like, where did it go? Did they ship it back? Like, and do they say? And I really doubt that. With Mexico, tariffs haven't really gone in place. Well, they have a little bit, but with Canada, a firm decision hasn't come out on all tariffs, but they're not going to wait and just change their minds and wait for Trump to wait another month. One of the things you got to understand with Trump is that when he says pause means stop. Pause means stop. Just like everything he's doing with USAID programs and other programs across the country that they've gotten rid of, the International Visitors Leadership Program that I was a part of, and other putting a pause while we wait, while we reflect. These things mean stop, because he knows when he says pause, it gets him a little bit of leeway, a little bit of extra patience from the media, from the mainstream media, who actually think that he may not try to follow through on something. So I guarantee these tariffs aren't going to come back in this way that he was talking about doing it. It's just not, because he got beat down. He lost. He's having defeat after defeat after defeat, whether it's in the courts, whether it's from the people, whether it's from Senator Ossoff helping keep that program for HBCU students and the like. That was from like the 1890s. This is what happens when people stand up. But this is dangerous for Americans. Saw a story on farmers and what's happening with them right now, and their bigger concern. This was just with the USAID cuts or destruction of USAID that they're working on. Now you added tariffs to that. And what I remember, and back when this was happening under Trump's first administration, I remember farmers committing suicide. I remember farmers losing their homes. I remember the USDA sending mailings with to farmers with letters about with pamphlets about the suicide prevention hotline and the like. That's going to be happening now. Most Americans, who are not part of the 1% or the top 10% or whatever, don't have the ability to just change their whole plans on the fly. They're not good. They don't have the ability, especially when you're talking about farmers and harvest season. And we could talk about so many other areas of the country that's being affected right now. Health services. What's about to happen with the Department of Education? People are being fired, then hired, then fired, then hired again. Regular people don't have the ability to just say, "Oh, cool, it's back on for a month. Oh, I can do whatever." That difference is going to make a difference. Not knowing whether their harvest is going to get paid for, people not knowing whether those disability services are going to happen for their child, the cancer research is going to come through, the diabetes medication is going to be at a particular price. That's like a difference between I'm paying my mortgage, I'm paying my rent, or I'm paying this particular bill, or these particular bills, or tuition for children, or a car payment, and so on and so forth. It's like the anxiety that some people feel around the holidays, right? But on steroids, like times 1,000. This is an unpredictable president, but one thing that we can predict about his unpredictability is that his unpredictability is ruining America. It hasn't even been 2 months, and he's already reversing. So where's one economic indicator that has improved since Trump has taken office? Now, here's my concern as it relates to the people. I'm seeing all of these protests across the country. I'm seeing people showing up for, fighting for various things, from USAID to transgender rights to Department of Education, protesting JD Vance's ski trip. Like, all of this stuff is beautiful. And I applaud it. I think it's great. But one of the things we have to be mindful of is, once certain groups, whatever the groups are, let's just say maybe it's farmers, once certain groups start getting exemptions or certain types of protections, are they going to disappear from the protests? That's the part that we have to pay attention to, because, like I said multiple times, many people had no problems with Trump's policies as long as it didn't affect them. And now it is. These policies are affecting them, and some people are taken to the streets. Now, this isn't, I'm not saying this is the case for all the protesters, but what I'm saying is, how long will we all be in this together? If Trump starts, supporting the auto industry, and Trump starts, supporting the what were we talking about, the automobile industry, and then the farmers, and then maybe we're talking about 80,000 people from the VA being fired, but then that gets rescinded, and so maybe veterans start to feel in some ways that they're still being protected. Do the protests start to dissipate? Because Trump and his people, they thrive off of division. They thrive off of keeping people not together. They thrive on the culture wars. They thrive on having people point at each other. And so this is where we really have to be careful, America. We have to stay united. And so if you become part of a community that gets some type of benefit or reprieve or whatever because of, Trump, the people who run your organization or who run your industry, like the 3 leaders of the auto industry who got Trump on speed dial, if they have the ability to get to Trump and get these favors done, you should still be out there in the streets for other people. Because those other people aren't going to be buying your cars if you're, manufacturing cars. Those other people aren't going to be buying your food products if you're a farmer, because they just lost their job at the Department of Education. They just lost their job in the FBI. The hospital they were working at just closed. So this is where the rubber really meets the road right now. So where are you with it, America? Trump is showing that he has been a loser as it relates to his economic policy, to such an extent that Lutnick is talking about removing government data from GDP measures, which is stuff that happens in other countries and dictatorships, to really hide how bad the economy is struggling. The momentum that's happening in terms of these different victories that have been achieved. The Supreme Court one, I don't think people should get too happy about that, for reasons I'll talk about in another video. But Trump is reckless. He's reckless with his businesses. He's reckless in many things that he does. And now he's taking that wrecking ball, or maybe chainsaw if you're asking Musk, to the American government. And he's having loss after loss after loss. It hasn't even been 48 hours since he announced the tariffs. And now he's reduced tariffs in some way, shape, or form for both countries. But Americans don't have a short memory on this. I know Canadians are not having a short memory on this. There's already been irreparable damage to the U.S. economy because of these particular moves that he's done. And there's only more coming. There's only more coming. So America, we still have to continue to stand up. We have to continue to call this out. This man wants to be a savior, but he's putting people in jeopardy so that he can save them. That's not a recipe for leadership. That's a recipe for disaster. What else is he going to lose on today? that's going to affect people. Well, what else is he going to lose on today that people have already started making plans for? Because I mean, I saw something else. They took like 443 places off the real estate market, including like toll booths they were trying to sell, and government campuses. Like, this is just no. This is just it's just no. This is what happens when we get a whole felon in the White House who's a lawless individual who doesn't really know how to run an economy and surround himself with people by yes men. We got to continue to keep the fight up. Another loss for Trump today, but we have to make sure that these losses don't continue to end up being losses for us, but they will if we quit. We will win if we do not give in. Peace.